Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and this is my very late review of episode 7 of House of the Dragon season 2. I don't know, what do you want me to say? Life happens, work happens, I'm trying to catch up on my sleep, be better at that. By the way, sleep is very important, so it's sometimes you gotta make sacrifices in your schedule, and you have to do your review of House of the Dragon on the day that the next episode is gonna come out tonight, so I don't know. It is what it is. Anyways, episode 7 of House of the Dragon, here we are. And yeah, this is, I think they call it the Red Sowing. It's the sowing of the seeds. I think that's the chapter term in the book, which, by the way, I need to buy that book. Feels like everyone has the book. I need to buy the book. And yeah, here we basically have the culmination of all these like little seeds that we've gotten from Hugh the Hammer and that other guy who's in like the he's in the bar, he's in the brothel all the time, and he's like, oh, my father was a Targaryen, and we finally see the culmination of that. We start off, and I think it's Alan of Hull, because there's two brothers, Adam and Alan. They're I think in the show they're the sons of the sea serpent, the Valerian guy. I think in the book it was implied to be they were the sons of his son, but obviously they went a different direction with that. So they're the sons of Valerian guy there. And yeah, one of them has a dragon now. They're confronted by Rhaenyra immediately, and he bends the knee and he's like, I am ready to serve you. The gods have granted me a greater purpose. I get to be a dragon rider. And the show does something interesting here because, the Valerian guy comes up to him and he's like, I don't know who your mother was, but we are Salton Sea, we're not dragon riders, so I don't know why you're able to ride a dragon. And that's kind of interesting because the Valerians are from, old Valeria, right? Just like the Targaryens are. So I guess in my mind, I was like, well, yeah, anyone from old Valeria could ride a dragon, right? But no, even they seem to be under the impression that they shouldn't be able to do it because they're not Targaryens. So I don't know, they kind of do this weird thing with like, oh, maybe their mother, who we don't know anything about, was a Targaryen at some point somewhere, which, okay, I guess I just assumed it was because of the Valerian blood, but alright, whatever. Anyways, so he's a dragon rider now, and that kind of convinces Rhaenyra to like, okay, if someone, they call them lowborns, if these people who are not of noble houses can ride dragons, then maybe we do need to rise up an army of bastards. And that's basically the plan. That's where she's gonna rally up everyone from King's Landing and all over the place. They're gonna get them all on a boat, all these different random extras with white hair. Come on down to Dragonstone, see if you can ride this dragon. And there's some interesting power play stuff happening here. There's a lot of like class politics going on here because they're like, okay, well, we were fine with trying out the knight from the last episode, Sir Drakon, or whatever his name was, because his 17th grandma down the line was a Targaryen once upon a time. He has like 1/64th Targaryen blood in him or something. We were fine with letting him try because he comes from a noble house, he's a knight, he's loyal to my crown. He's not like a lowborn, he has like some sort of status, so like it didn't seem like that crazy of a thing. But now that they're bringing in all these bastards, all these people who are like the lowborns, they're basically the peasant folk, right? But they are more closer to Targaryen blood because at least probably their father was one of any number of the Targaryens over the years, right? Because they just go to a brothel and they, someone gets pregnant and that's just how it happens, So the people, the dragon teachers, who I still don't know that much about, the people with the spears, and they chant all the Valerian and they seem to know how to like herd the dragons. They see this as a great insult. They're like, it was one thing when you were let that Andal, the night guy from last episode, try it, but now you're letting all these low-born, low-class people do it. And even Jacaerys has a problem with that. Rhaenyra's son, he's like, look, I know what I am. I know that I'm not full Targaryen. It's obvious. I'm old enough now to know the truth. My hair is dark. It's not white. So everyone can see that I'm a strong, right? And one of my main claims that I could still say, but I am a Targaryen, is because I have a dragon. But now if all these bastards, who are the same, essentially, they're the same level as I am, if all these other bastards can also ride dragons, then how am I special in any way? How can I even claim the throne? And he's kind of like throwing a fit here, and he's worrying about his own, claim to the throne, which he would be Rhaenyra's heir. And I guess he kind of has a point, right? Because like, if all these other people can start riding dragons, then any of his specialness kind of goes away. And I think a lot of this season has been doing the good work of like breaking down the mythology of dragon riders and Targaryens, right? Like when they paraded that dragon head through the streets of King's Landing, it kind of showed everyone like, oh, the dragons are not these immortal godlike creatures who are just like impossible to defeat. Like, no, they're just animals. They're just animals, and they can die like any other animal, and it's crazy. They're just really big. That's all it is, and so even here with Jacaerys, like, oh, maybe all these titles in this class in your last name, maybe none of that shit really matters. And even this idea here that it has to be bastards, and that somehow that is important, maybe even that doesn't matter. It's, you know what I mean? Like, we're kind of skirting that line, because again, even with Alan of, is it Alan? I think it's either Adam or Alan. Their names are so close, and they're brothers, so it's hard to, anyways, I think it's Alan. So even with Alan of Hull, it's like, they're like, oh, he's a Valyrian, he's not a Targaryen, and they have to convince themselves, like, well, he must have Targaryen blood somewhere. That's the only way this makes sense, so like, they're even like, Rhaenyra and everyone is still death gripping this mythology that like, no, it's only the Targaryens, only we can ride dragons. But anyways, so they get all these people on a boat, they get them all to Dragonstone, and I thought they were going to do like a 1-by-1, like, all right, you go in the room, you see if it happens, and if you die, we'll send in the next person. But instead, it's like an all at once, like, all right, all like 50 of you go inside the room, see if you can ride, I think it's Sea Smoke. And it's just a horrible bloodbath. Like half of them die immediately. And my only thing about this way that they're doing this, it seems like so easy. Like again, the dragons are just animals. They're not fully in control of when they shoot fire, and then the fire kind of spreads everywhere, and several people are dying at once, even beyond the person that the dragon initially aimed at. It's like, what if the people who are accidentally dying would have been the ones that could have been the dragon riders? Like, who knows how many dragon riders we accidentally lost this episode. But of course, Hugh Hammer, the characters that we've been following, he stands up, he faces the dragon, and the dragon accepts him. So again, even now, it's like, was it because of his special blood, or was it because he was able to stand up to the dragon, and the dragon's like, oh, okay, respect, and then like bowed down, so like, it could have just been that. And then we have the other guy, I'll have to learn his name, the guy who was in the brothel the whole time. He runs off, he's leaving, he's like, nope, I'm out of here. And he, of course, ends up stumbling into a different dragon's nest. I don't know the name of this one, it's a different dragon. So he notably steps in some like dragon egg goop. There's like a bunch of like liquid and goopy stuff all around this dragon's nest. And then the dragon like looks at him and accepts him, and it's like, okay, was it because of his special blood, or was it because he stepped in whatever that goop was, and now he's got like this dragon smell on him, like, so the show's kind of playing around with like, there's the myth of the Targaryens that they're kind of throwing around of like, oh, we're special people and only we can ride dragons, but they're trying to keep that alive, so I don't know, it's kind of interesting the way they're doing that. But anyways, yeah, so he's got a dragon now, and we kind of just cut to immediately him flying over King's Landing, and it's unclear if he did this himself or if he was told by Rhaenyra, like, hey, go fly the dragon over King's Landing, go taunt Aemond a little bit, see if he'll, basically just announce like, we have more dragons than you now. It's unclear if he was told to do that or not, because that's what happens. He goes over there, everyone's panicking like, oh, it's a dragon, and Aemond immediately gets on Vhagar and he's like, okay, I'll deal with this. but he heads over to Dragonstone, right? And he's like, oh shit, there's 3 dragons sitting there waiting. Vhagar can't take on all these guys. So that's basically where we end this episode. Basically, just we have these riders. I don't know how much time has passed. I don't know if they've been taught how to ride the dragons, because that feels like it has to have been at least a couple of weeks. You know, like we're not gonna have these people act like really knowing what to do or what words to say. All these Valyrian terms they gotta learn. So I don't know. Some time must have passed since that scene and him riding over the Red Keep, or at least that's how I interpreted the scene. But in any case, it looks like for the finale, it's really gonna go down, and that's pretty cool. Meanwhile, we have Daemon over at Harrenhal, and he's, you know, of course, he's seeing more ghosts. He's seeing his brother. He's having his therapy sessions, but of course, the elder Tully has died, and so now the grandson, the kid he's got to be like 13 or 14 or something, he's technically in charge, and he can rally all the River Lords, but they all kind of hate Daemon because he tried to play them against each other, and it all heavily backfired. So basically, what the kid does, he plays the game, and he's doing it in a much smarter way than Daemon was ever doing it. You know, so like, hey, props to this kid, right? Because he's basically like, hey, look, guys, I agree with you. Daemon sucks. He really, really sucks. But we're not here to serve Daemon. We're here to serve Rhaenyra, because that's what, you know, my grandpa, like, he's gonna keep his word, his honor, and you know, it's what he swore his allegiance to years back, and that's what he would want us to do. So let's all get together. Let's go fight for Rhaenyra. Let's raise our banners. Let's gather our men and our armies. And so really, you know, Daemon is getting what he wanted, but it's got to be kind of in a, hey, we all hate you, but we're gonna do what you want. But we have to, you know. So it's he's playing in a really smart way. You know, he's got to appeal to the fact that, yeah, Daemon sucks, and I agree with you guys, but you know, it's not about Daemon. You know. And also Daemon ends up having to kill the one guy that Bracken or whatever, Blackwood, Bracken, whichever one it was. He ends up having to kill the one guy that he did have on his side, because he had convinced that guy to do a bunch of atrocities, and it's like, well, we can't let that be like the face of this now, so bye. You know. So it looks like Daemon finally, after this entire season of sitting here, is getting what he came for. He's getting the Lords of the Riverlands under his control. And I don't know. Criston Cole is told to go to Harrenhal and try to take that, and then Aemon's like, I'll show up when the time is ripe, you know. And so I guess we're gonna get this big showdown between Daemon and Aemon in the finale, or at least I assume that's what's gonna happen, because, you know, and if this is how it goes down, if this is, you know, spoiler alert, this is supposed to be the fight between Daemon and Aemon, and then we don't know what happens to Daemon after this. He might die. I will say it kind of feels like it just would be a shame, because Daemon never got a chance to go back to Dragonstone ever. He never got a chance to like catch up with everything that's going on. Like, he's been so secluded this whole season, and it would be kind of a shame to see him just leave the show now. And it's like, oh, it feels like there was a lot more for this character to do. You know, he could have come back and seen all these bastards that we've just gathered and all this stuff that's been happening, and he's just kind of been on his own, doing his own thing. So I don't know. Anyways, we'll find out what's happening there. And then, Alicent. Yeah, Alicent basically is just running away. She's basically like, all right, I got kicked out of the council. They're telling me to just basically fuck off. And so that's what she does. She takes like one night with her to the forest, and then she's just like, let's just keep going. Let's just leave. So I don't know what her place in this story is gonna be from this point on, because, you know, she did all this scheming with her dad to get her and her sons in a place of power, and now she's basically being thrown away by her own sons, you know. Like, she has no place and no say over anything anymore. Otto Hightower is supposed to be coming back. That's who Aemon called to last episode, I think. So eventually Otto will come back, but for right now, they're both out of the picture. It all kind of blew up in their faces. And then yeah, that's pretty much where we have things off, you know, in the finale. So I guess we'll see. I guess Kristen Cole and Aemond are gonna go after Harrenhal. Is Dragonstone gonna like go after King's Landing? They have enough dragons now, especially if Aemond has taken Vhagar to Harrenhal. He won't be there to protect King's Landing, so they can kind of just take that place over. Aegon is slowly learning to walk. He's being helped by the Clubfoot guy. These names, I can't remember all their names. Anyways, he's being helped by the Clubfoot guy, and it's like, okay, he's still alive. He's still technically the king. And depending on what happens to Aemond next episode, you know, he might once again be in charge, and you know, he might be facing off against Rhaenyra as she takes over King's Landing. We'll have to see how this all plays out. Of course, the show's been doing stuff slightly differently than the book. So yeah, pretty excited. We're all set up for a really good finale, and I guess we'll see how it pays off tonight. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about episode 7. And just, yeah, I don't know. Jacaerys might have a point, you know? Because, like, who's gonna bother to respect his, like, claim to the throne if you have, like, 7 other people who can... They're just as legitimate as you are, you know? So, I don't know. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Bye.